This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is 8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here is the news edited by Anjana Dodamgoda and read by Tilani Pires. The headlines. The President stresses the need for a comprehensive plan to address financial difficulties faced by middle-income countries. The Acting Minister of Finance says there is a surge in remittances from Sri Lankans overseas. The A-level 2023 examination date to be revised. The US supports the Sri Lankan government in providing Triposha to mothers and children through the WFP. The urgent need for Arugambe tourism development strategy. Sri Lanka's national inflation declines to 2.1% in August 2023. The chicken price reduced from midnight today. And on international news, Russia hits Ukrainian energy facilities in biggest attacks in weeks. And on sports news, a walking school girl from Bhagavantalava sets a record. A significant address at the high-level dialogue on financing for development at the General Assembly's 78th session, President Ranil Wickremesinghe emphasized the critical issues facing middle-income countries in times of financial distress, drawing attention to the challenges these countries face due to the lack of a common framework and procedures. President Wickremesinghe cited the example of Sri Lanka, where the declaration of bankruptcy had brought all external financial dealings to a standstill, potentially leading to a major political crisis. President Wickremesinghe also echoed the Secretary General's call for annual availability of $500 billion to developing countries and the conversion of short-term lending into long-term debt at lower interest rates. The Minister of Education, Susil Premajanta, says the scheduled advanced level examination will be postponed. The new date will be announced next week. The Education Minister, Susil Premajanta, revealed in Parliament today that a decision has been made to revise the date of the 2023 A-level examination in Sri Lanka. This decision comes in response to a request from the members of Parliament to postpone the examination due to various challenges faced by students preparing for it. The Minister has communicated this decision to the Examination Commissioner, who will subsequently provide information about the new date for the A-level examination. This revision aims to address concerns and difficulties experienced by students in the lead-up to the examination. Details regarding the rescheduled date are expected to be announced by the Commissioner of Examinations in the coming week. This decision reflects the government's commitment to ensuring a fair and conducive environment for students taking the A-level examination in Sri Lanka. The United States Agency for International Development handed over a substantial consignment of 4,700 metric tons of soya beans and maize to Sri Lanka Triposha Limited to support the continuation of the Triposha Fortified Food Program. The United Nations World Food Program facilitated the handover at the special event held at the Triposha factory. This consignment forms part of a wider contribution of $20 million from the United States towards WFP's emergency operation to support Sri Lankan communities impacted by the country's economic crisis. As a significant contributor locally and globally, the US has enabled WFP to provide cash, food assistance and value vouchers to food insecure Sri Lankan families while supporting national food and nutrition programs, including school meals and Triposha, a fortified blended food product. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. A meeting was convened at the Presidential Secretariat to discuss the Arugambe Tourism Development Plan, which has the potential to significantly contribute to Sri Lanka's tourism industry. Mr. Sagal Ratnayaka, Senior Advisor to the President on National Security and Chief of the Presidential Staff, chaired the meeting. During the discussion, the issues identified in the initial meeting led by President Ranil Wickremesinghe and the steps taken to address them were thoroughly examined. The focus was on the challenges related to infrastructure development in the area and the obstacles hindering the growth of the tourism sector. Participants from various organizations also discussed how each institution could contribute to finding solutions to these challenges. The local poultry producers have agreed to reduce the price of chicken by 100 rupees per kilogram with effect from midnight today. The agreement was reached following a discussion with the Minister of Trade, Commerce and Food Security, Nalin Fernando, this afternoon. Accordingly, a kilogram of chicken will now be sold at 1,150 rupees. That ends the local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
The acting Finance Minister Ranjit Simlapiti announced that over the past year, inflation in Sri Lanka has significantly decreased to 62.1% thanks to President Ranil Wickremesinghe's robust economic reform agenda. The President's media division reported Simlapiti also highlighted that inflation, which stood by 66.7% during the first and second quarters of 2022, has now plummeted to just 4.6% for the same period in 2023. The Minister Simlapiti made this announcement during a press conference held today at the Presidential Media Centre, focusing on the theme of collective path to a stable country. He further noted that this shift is not the result of artificial control, but rather a reflection of the rupee's value adjusting in response to supply and demand for the dollar, which holds significant economic importance. That was the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Sinhala Mahatma.
And on Watch Light tonight, the Shipping Corporation of India is to commence high-speed passenger ferry service from Nagapattinam in Tamil Nadu to KKS. The ferry service is likely to commence operations from October 1st week onwards. Sources at the Shipping Corporation of India told IANS that the high-speed ferry service will cover 60 nautical miles distance and commence operations from Nagapattinam Port, Tamil Nadu Maritime Board and the Union Ministry of Port, Shipping and Waterways are joining hands to execute the project. That came to you in Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
It's the power to live life your way. The power to be a trendsetter. Power to you with digital banking from Commercial Bank. Commercial Bank. Our interest is in you.
World News headlines first. Russia hits Ukrainian energy facilities in biggest attack in weeks. India suspends visa services for Canadians as standoff escalates. The family of a man who drove off a collapsed bridge sues Google Maps. Russia pounded energy facilities across Ukraine today in its biggest missile attack for weeks, firing what Ukrainian officials saw as the first salvo in a new air campaign against the national power grid. Power cuts were reported in 5 Ukrainian regions in the west, center and east, reviving memories of multiple airstrikes on critical infrastructure last winter that caused sweeping outages for millions during the bitter cold. India today suspended visa services for Canadian citizens, a foreign ministry spokesman said, citing security threats to its staff in its consulates in Canada. The announcement came after Canada's High Commission in India said it would temporarily adjust staff presence in the country after some diplomats received threats on social media platforms. The step marks further escalation of tension between the two countries, set off by Canada's announcement that it was actively pursuing credible allegations linking Indian government agents to the murder of a Sikh separatist leader in June. The family of a man from North Carolina who died after driving off a collapsed bridge is suing Google for negligence and said it failed to update its navigation system. Philip Paxson, 47, was using Google Maps to drive home from his eldest daughter's 9th birthday party in Hickory, North Carolina on 30th September 2022. But the GPS put him on the unfamiliar path of a bridge that collapsed nearly a decade earlier and was never repaired, causing him to drown. The father of two, the family filed a lawsuit in Wake County on Tuesday against Google and blamed the company for his death. Back to the world news headlines. Russia hits Ukrainian energy facilities in biggest attack in weeks. India suspends visa services for Canadians as standoff escalates. The family of a man who drove off a collapsed bridge sues Google Maps. That ends world news.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
This message is for all the kids between the ages of 4 and 16 who love to draw. Commercial Bank's Arunalu Sittam is back once again. This time, the competition is also open to Sri Lankan kids currently living abroad. First, second and third place prizes will be awarded along with special merit and merit certificates. For more information, visit the Commercial Bank website. We have so many prizes to be won.
Development News.
Having revolutionized the real estate industry in Sri Lanka, John Keel's Properties has unveiled its latest residential project, Viman, set to transform contemporary living in the heart of Jala. John Keel's Properties, the property arm of the renowned John Keel's Holdings, has earned a prestigious reputation in the real estate market for making a significant impact with innovative approaches to creating dream living spaces and exceptional experiences. Notably, Viman will feature energy-efficient solar-powered homes, abundant green spaces, and foster a strong sense of community, exemplifying John Keel's Properties' commitment to prioritize both modern comforts and a sustainable lifestyle. That came to you in Development News. Moving on with sports news, a schoolgirl from Bagavantalawa area has walked a distance of 54 kilometers at a stretch in 8.30 hours and created a Cholan record. Vasantha Kumar Nitarshana is a grade 10 student at St. Mary's National School in the Hatton Education Zone. She set off from the Navalpitiya police station grounds at 6:05 a.m. on Wednesday and entered the walk at 2:35 p.m. in Bagavantalawa town, covering a distance of 54 kilometers. A representative of the Cholan World Record Book of India, Sinagavani Raja, who monitored the event, said that Nitarshana's name would go down in the Cholan Record Book. That ends sports news.
Go ekatiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu veena habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
The Alumni Association of the Faculty of Law, established in 1998, seeks to form the link between its past graduates and the faculty and realize a number of objectives, including the promotion of educational, professional and employment interest of students. The association has organized a dinner on the 22nd of September at the Imperial Monarch Sri Javadanapura to celebrate the 75th year of the faculty and as a fundraiser for the Education Trust, set up by the association to provide financial assistance to students. That came to you in Business News.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekatiyana youth ekata life eke change ekata niyameta set wenna as wahagena dagapu veena habe karanna youth ekata niyameta set wenna friendship eka menna.
The all-new NSB Ithru account, NSB IAM, a plan for your dream.
Sri Lanka's consumer price inflation rate eased to 2.1% year-on-year in August from 4.6% in July, helped by falling food prices, the Statistics Department said on Thursday. The National Consumer Price Index captures broader retail price inflation and is released with a lag of 21 days every month. Sri Lanka's economy shrank 3.1% in Q2 amid financial crisis. Food prices fell 5.4% in August after declining 2.5% in July from a year earlier, the Department of Census and Statistics said in a statement. Prices for non-food items, however, climbed to 9% in August after rising to 10.9% year-on-year in July. That ends economic news.
Weather report.
The meteorology department says showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the western, Sabaragamu and southern provinces. Several spells of showers may occur in the northwestern province. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in the Uva, central, north central and eastern provinces and in the Vavune and Mullaitivu districts during the evening or night. Fairly heavy showers above 50 millimeters can be expected at some places. That was the weather report. And now to end this news broadcast, the main points once again. The President stresses the need for a comprehensive plan to address financial difficulties faced by middle-income countries. The Acting Minister of Finance says there is a surge in remittances from Sri Lankans overseas. The A-Level 2023 examination date to be revised. The US supports the Sri Lankan government in providing 3 posha to mothers and children through the WFP. The urgent need for Arugmugan Bay tourism development strategy. Sri Lanka's national inflation declines to 2.1% in August 2023. The chicken price reduced from midnight today. And on international news, Russia hits Ukrainian energy facilities in biggest attack in weeks. And on sports news, a walk-in school girl from Bhagavantalava sets a record. That ends this news broadcast.